Absolutely. I can't
Um,
figure out how to put that marketing innovation slide behind me. But oh well, we'll just forge on ahead.
we'll forge on. We'll make do. Um, you know, I think to start off, and would be great just for context is just talking about your background and what got you into the tequila industry.
Yeah, good question, right? Because there aren't a lot of us in the tequila industry. That's probably a good thing to throw out there straight out the gate. Not a lot of women in the tequila industry, not a lot of women in the spirits industry, very specifically spirits versus, say, wine or RTD or beer. So, really, it was out of necessity. And I used to be a wine drinker. I very happily drank white wine and rosé kind of every night, couple glasses. And then one day it just, I started not to feel so great. I didn't know what it was. I went to my doctor and he, ran some tests and everything was fine, thank God. And then looked at what I was sort of eating and drinking. And he was like, there's the problem. The minute I told him I was finishing my night off with a couple glasses of wine, he's like, there you go. If you just move away from fermented spirits, the whole category, so like wine, beer, champagne, many of these RTDs that are out there, and switch over to a distilled spirit, you'll feel better. There's still a lot of organic living matter in fermented that just goes away when you move over to distilled. So the good news was, my doctor wasn't asking me to stop drinking, which was, I really enjoy my glass of something at the end of my day. I look forward to it. I like to relax and unwind with it. So the fact that he wasn't saying like knock it off altogether was awesome. And his recommendation was that I switch to Blanco tequila. And at first I was sort of like, wow, that's really aggressive and harsh for a Tuesday night. The idea of going from wine every night to Blanco tequila every night just felt like a big leap. So went home, stopped drinking the wine. The minute I stopped, all my symptoms that I was experiencing went away. And now I was left with this Blanco tequila and thinking, what am I going to do to it to make it just much smoother, smell, not remind me of college, something that I would enjoy and look forward to as opposed to just drinking it. And I love to cook and I started infusing it. And by actually infusing it, just taking fruits and things that I had at the house and throwing them into the tequila, it completely changed the spirit in its entirety. And it smoothed it out tremendously. It got rid of that sort of harsh bite that all tequilas have. Doesn't really matter the brand or the quality. They all kind of have this real harsh bite. And it got rid of that. It made it, it just added a hint of flavor, but it didn't make it sweet. I find that most flavored, quote unquote, infused with flavor or flavored spirits tend to be overly sugary. The ingredients are not that great. They can be like high fructose corn syrup, food coloring, all these kinds of things. And those don't help when you're trying to drink a little cleaner. So I just wasn't a fan of those. So this was nothing like that. This was just a hint of flavor, not sweet, smooth. And it was really easy. It fit my lifestyle. I could just pour it into a wine glass, add some club soda, slice of orange, and I was done. And I did that happily for many, many years, 8 years to be exact, before I even thought to turn it into a business. And the thing that sort of prompted me to turn it into a business was I just was observing kind of the trends going on in the beverage industry, right? Like, and with my friends, I noticed that so many of my girlfriends were switching over from wine and champagne very specifically to tequila. And they were either asking me for bottles of my infused tequila or they would drink, tequila, club soda, 3 limes. So again, people looking to drink more of a spritz for the wellness reasons. Guys I knew looking to drink less, fewer carbs than beer, were switching over to tequila and either reaching to me to ask me for my infused tequilas or doing that same sort of thing. And that was one thing, just noticing just the people around me switching in large amounts to tequila, the category. And then secondly, in terms of the tequila category, right? It was on fire. It was like a whole huge upswing. And there were all these new tequilas that were coming on the market. And when we went and took a walk, in that tequila aisle, what we noticed was there were all these tequilas that had come on the market. They were all Blanco, Reposado, and Ajos, right? All being marketed like scotches and whiskeys to that male consumer. And there was nothing in the aisle that was really speaking to her. and how, in very large numbers, this female consumer was moving over from, wine and champagne to tequila, wanting to drink it light in a spritz in that wine occasion, and not as a sipping tequila that you sip on every once in a while or make, into a margarita every once in a while, but like every night as an alternative to wine. And there was nothing like that in the aisle. And there was certainly nothing that looked like, the tequilas, our tequilas in the aisle. And no one really speaking to that female consumer and the consumption occasion in which she was using tequila, which is really in that wine occasion. So we thought, wow, there's like a real hole here. And we decided to start the company. And I started the company with my sister, who's our CFO, and Sarika, our girlfriend. And that's what 21 Seeds means too. We'll get that right out the way. It's 2 sisters, 1 girlfriend, seeds, everything that goes into 21 Seeds is all natural and grows from a seed. So we decided to bring it to market, and the rest is history, or it starting to become history.
And I think it's so awesome that you made that, bold decision very early on to say, we're going to focus on women, right? I guess how big of a challenge was that for you when you're kind of deciding the exact direction to say, are we going to focus on a cleaner, sort of drink? Is that the position? Is it, a healthier alternative? Is it a more sort of premium, sort of flavored tequila? I guess, what was that sort of deliberation like on your side before you really take like, our path is to focus on women 100%?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a really good question, Eric, because the thing is that everything you just mentioned is exactly what 21 Seeds also is, right? From a functional standpoint, you can make a beautiful, easy wine alternative cocktail, right? Like an alternative to wine in a wine glass that is literally half the calories of a glass of wine. It doesn't have the sugar that wine has. It doesn't make you feel hungover and sluggish, the way that wine might. And so all of those benefits, it's gluten-free, the benefits of that. It's keto friendly. It hits all of those triggers. And we could have gone after that, right? Like, look at RX Bar. They focus just on that fitness community, say, right? And for us, we focused on what we knew, right? We were 3 female founders, right? We observed our girlfriends really drinking tequila in droves. And truly no one was speaking to her in that aisle. So for us, it was more about this idea that, women have never in an authentic way had the spirits industry sort of speaking to us, not as a diet drink, not as, an easy wine cooler or spritz or RTD, but just as a spirit, right? Like as a full-on spirit. The industry has never really spoken to her in an authentic way. And we felt that was actually the thing that resonated with us the most. And the one thing that we were authorities on, right? Like, we are not authorities in the gluten-free industry. We are not authorities in the diet industry or but what we know is we know women. We know how women connect. We know how women share. We know how women discover brands. We have that, we don't even have to think about that. That's something that we know and we've experienced for our whole lives. So we thought that is the thing we could speak to the most authentically, and felt like no one else was talking to her. And we're like, let's go there, because you had other products that were speaking to the stuff that we just spoke about, the functional things. And for us, this was like 21 Seeds is, in our perspective, like, now after you go past the functional reasons to drink 21 Seeds, the thing about 21 Seeds is, when we want 21 Seeds to be the one thing that women connect with other women around. And alcohol already is that for, men, women, doesn't matter. So it was like an easy entry point to have that be the thing that brings women together. But like, truly, like, when you pop open a bottle of 21 Seeds, that a fun night ahead with your girlfriends, or, a girls trip, or a backyard barbecue with your girlfriends, like, women love to connect, and we want them to connect around this brand. And that's the emotional part of the brand that we're really leaning into. Obviously there's the functional, but like the emotional piece, that's the part that got us the most excited. And quite honestly, no one was talking to her in the aisle in that way, right? It was more they were coming at her with the functional reasons why you should drink say the Kettle Botanicals. But like, what is that emotional, thing that made rosé the thing, that made the Aperol Spritz the thing, right? Is rosé that much better tasting than anything else? No, but like, women know that when you pop open that bottle of rosé, that fun is ahead. And that is what we believe and hope and want to try to communicate and relay when it comes to 21 Seeds.
That's amazing. And I think, today's about marketing innovation, right? I think so many companies, they look at marketing as almost sort of the thing that comes after they've developed a product or after they have a brand. It's like, okay, well, we have this product now, how are we going to get it out there? And I really love the fact and the innovation here is you really work backwards in developing this. You said, okay, what's the opportunity? Who's this underserved market? Who's not talking to them? And then focusing on that emotional connection rather than just here are the value propositions that could appeal to them, but really kind of building the brand around them. I guess, can you talk a little bit about how sort of tequila brands, market to men and maybe like their channels, their methods, and then how your marketing methods are different?
Absolutely. And that was a huge piece of it, right? Like, here we are, three outsiders from the industry. And actually, I felt like that kind of gave us this advantage because we weren't strapped with the normal way that people do things. We did discover the normal way that people do things because very quickly, once we got into the industry, they then said to us, this is how you normally do things. And traditionally, the way that spirits are brought to market, the distribution funnel, right, has two pieces. There's the awareness piece, and then there's the actual velocity distribution purchase piece, right, where the volume of the sales come from. So the awareness piece of it is, how do you build awareness of a brand, right? A spirits brand. And traditionally, that has been done in the past through the on-premise, right, which is the bars and the restaurants. And the idea is that you walk into a bar and there's, a bartender who's really excited about a brand and might educate somebody about that brand, tell them about, like, the history of whiskey or something like that. Or you taste a cocktail in a bar and you love the cocktail so much that you're like, I want to replicate that experience at home. And so I would say that traditionally that works because you're marketing to men. Men are who the spirits industry has always marketed to, truly. And so I get that, right? Like, a guy wants to know about those things. And for us, he might want to know about the history of, whiskey and the barrels and all that kind of stuff. I would argue that 9 times out of 10, if a girl walks into a bar and she's talking to the bartender, she's probably saying, especially in the last 5 years, like, she's probably saying, can you make that less sweet? Can you put fewer things in that, right? Like, and then going off to be social with her girls, her girlfriends, her date night, her work drinks, whatever she's doing. Like, she's not spending too much time having these in-depth conversations with the bartender. And then, to be honest, I feel like cocktails have gotten so complicated, in the past 5 years, or maybe even 8 years, that it's hard to get a cocktail that has like 8 ingredients in it and be able to pinpoint that one ingredient in it was 21 Seeds, say, and that's what made this cocktail so delicious. And so I want to go home and replicate that. And so for us, we just found that to be quite bizarre, right? Like, build the brand in the on-premise? No, because we're going for female consumers, and that's not where women discover brands. This day and age, women are discovering brands what I like to call the outer premise, right? In this online media universe, where they're reading about something that they're excited about, whether that's in Refinery 29, Pop Sugar, Well and Good, Bustle, you name it, Pure Wow, right? Like, they're either reading about it or they're learning about it through the grapevine, their girl network, right? Like, a recommendation. Girls love to recommend products, places to eat, things to do to other girls. And we as women accept those recommendations gladly. We don't need to go and prove it out ourselves. And I think it's the same concept of, like, women will accept directions from a stranger and guys won't. Guys tend to want to try to figure it out on their own. And women are like, let's just go. He's saying to go there. She's saying to go there. Let's just go there. So we really thought about the behavior of women. Like, how do we behave? Where do we actually discover brands? And it wasn't in a bar or restaurant. It's in this outer premise, whether it's through online media or Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, those places where our friends are recommending to us that we should know about a brand, or people that we, think are tastemakers or influencers that we like and follow. Though that's where we felt like women discover brands. And so that was where our focus was. And that was like shocking to the industry. We really did just focus on this outer premise initially to drive that brand awareness. And then we wanted to make sure it was where the product was where she could find it. So we immediately went out as a baby brand in California and thought to ourselves, okay, we need to find a retailer that's everywhere. So we pitched it to Bevmo, and they took the product straight out the gate, all 3 SKUs, all 146 locations that they have in California. So we're like, okay, we can now, once we have gotten their attention, we can now point them to buy it there. Or we very quickly, well before, COVID hit, like we launched this brand in 2019. So obviously that was before COVID, but from the onset, we wanted to sort of act as a direct to consumer brand and make it very easy for our customer to also be able to buy us online if that's where she wanted to buy us. We can't sell directly to her, but we partnered up with third-party retailers that could. So we went out and found her online, just like a lot of direct to consumer brands, very much not like traditional spirits brands, found her, showed her our easy at-home cocktail solutions, showed her how we relax and unwind together, showed her the social occasions in which we were drinking, bonding over 21 seeds with our girlfriends, girls' dinners and things like that, and then directed her on where to buy. And that really worked for us, but was very different than what is typically done in the spirits industry.
And in the spirits industry, I know that tasting is a big thing.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your stance on that as a marketing tactic or as a means to reach consumers?
Absolutely. And this was so for us, there's like in any industry, there's a toolbox that, there's the go-to toolbox for how to, drive awareness and trial. And in the spirits industry, that toolbox is one of the go-tos in whether it's on-premise or off-premise retail is tastings, right? Get the people to taste it. And again, when people would say that to us, I would say, you're not thinking of you're thinking like, how do you sell spirits to guys? Because if you then take that hat off and think like what we're trying to do, which is how do you authentically sell spirits to girls? Girls are not, they're not the ones that are walking into, say, a retail store and, trying warm tequila, out of a little cup. Like the majority of us aren't sitting around like sipping whiskey all day long, right? Like it's a different type of use occasion. So we're not used to tasting it that way. We don't need to taste it in that way. Again, I don't need to know how a car is built. If I go to buy a car, and this is, I think, how the majority of women are, it's like you go to buy a car, you want to know like, what's the brand? Like, what is the model? Is that the model I want? Do you have it in the color I want? And can I afford it? Right? I don't need you to pop the hood and show me how the engine is built, how it goes from 0 to 60 and all that kind of stuff. I feel like those are the details that guys want to know. If my girlfriend recommends a product to me and I walk into a store, I can see what is in 21 seeds on the label, right? It's Valencia orange, grapefruit hibiscus, cucumber jalapeno. Those are our 3 infusions. I know what all those flavors taste like. Our power user is the millennial mom. Like that is our power user. 80% of our customers are women. Millennial, like moms are walking into a grocery store. They have a million things they need to do. They're trying to get the groceries done. If 9 times out of 10, they have their kids with them, they're driving. So the chances of them taking, a shot of tequila, in the middle of the day while they're trying to do all this other stuff, it's just not going to happen. If my girlfriend tells me that she thinks it's delicious, I can see the label, the fruit on the label, and I can afford it, I'm buying that product. I don't need to taste it to buy it, right? And with men, like I would argue, like if they're going to the grocery store, like, I mean, I'm generalizing here a little bit, but like you go into the grocery store, if you're doing your own shopping, you're probably single, whether you're, a single dad or just a single guy, or if you're going into the store and you're a dad that's married, chances are like your wife's probably asked you to go into the store to get like 1 or 2 things. So you see the guy with the tasting and the booze is right there. And you're like, I have time to try that. Like I'm not in as much of a hurry as like a mom who's got to get the stuff done. So we think about all of that. We think about all of her pain points. We think about her entire journey from like how she planned her day to how she executes her day. And we think, okay, where are the moments where we can insert ourselves so A, she can discover us, And B, when will she use us? What will be the consumption occasion? And it's a very, very different journey than if you're thinking through that same exact journey from a guy's perspective. Like, what is that guy's journey? And also, if you're trying to tackle it from the guy perspective versus the female perspective, we just think about things differently. There's been a million books written about this, right? This is not like some new discovery that I've made. It's just that we at 21 Seeds are absolutely applying all of the psychology around that journey to every moment and to everything we execute on with the brand.
Yep, yep, I think you guys are really diving in deep and really understanding, to your point, the details of how your target audience behaves, how they shop. I guess, 20% of your consumers are men. Can you talk a little bit about how you reach them, how you keep them engaged, and is there any worry about alienating that 20%?
So that's a very good question. We get it all the time, right? So the brand, 21 Seeds has grown. Last year we grew 800%, and we're on target now to grow another 60% this year. We don't want to alienate guys. Like, our tagline, our whole thing is girls call the shots. This brand is a brand for her, by her, and the men who support her. Men who try 21 Seeds and who are finding the brand on their own, if we're not trying to reach them, right? Because all of our marketing efforts right now, we're a small company, we have limited budgets. So we're super focused. The way that our RxBar focused on that CrossFit community, our dollars right now early on are absolutely focused on that millennial mom and just females, right? And the age range there is from 25 all the way up to 55 is our folks who are drinking, our women who are drinking 21 Seeds. Interestingly, our male demo is that 20%, they're 25 to 35-year-olds. So they're actually totally coming to 21 Seeds for all of those functional reasons, right? It's lower carb, less sugar, cleaner, all of those reasons they are choosing 21 Seeds. And quite honestly, it tastes better. It's delicious. There's no reason, once you try it, you're going to love it. But the marketing dollars that we have and the community that we're really trying to build this product around is that female spirits drinker that, again, no one has been talking to. So will people accidentally, do I eat RX bars? Yes. Do I go to CrossFit? No. I feel like that 20%, and it's continuing to grow, they're going to find the brand, but it's just, we're not spending our marketing dollars that are quite limited at this point, at this stage in our company, focused on trying to find them. We are focused squarely on that female consumer and diving deeper because there's such a runway there. And then if you just look at the numbers, millennials are choosing tequila more than any other category, and millennial women are choosing tequila 3 times over millennial men. So we are speaking to the lion's share of who's actually drinking tequila. So yeah, we're pretty focused right now. We don't want to alienate those guys, and we don't think we are. Like, we don't think that the bottle's like feminine in any way. I mean, it's a beautiful bottle. It shows the fruit, the cucumber jalapeno, the Valencia orange, the grapefruit hibiscus on the label. It's actually a gin bottle. So it's this beautiful, it's been used in gin and whiskey. So I think it's very, I don't think it's like an overly feminine bottle. So, men are grabbing it too. And I think they're really reaching for it for more of the functional reasons. And we're great with that.
That's awesome. And I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, which is really the sort of difference in terms of your focus, right? When you look at ads for male focused tequila brands, it's focused on the status, on this quality, focusing on the story and like the provenance of that product and how it came to be. And you sort of went in another direction with that. You said none of that's important. We want to focus on the social experience. We want to focus on the millennial mom. Can you talk a little bit about the millennial mom and sort of the values there and how you're appealing to that, and just maybe build a little bit on the sort of social and lifestyle focus that you communicate in your marketing?
Yeah, great question. So, listen, she wants a premium product. She's not looking for the bargain. And that is what we're finding about our consumer. She wants to treat herself. She's educated. She's worked hard. She probably has, potentially a job outside the house, then comes in and actually does that 4 hours of work after dinner that, you know, no one talks to her about, or I even acknowledges, or she gets paid for. So she's doing a lot of things, juggling a lot of balls. But she's really more, you know, she'll pay for premium if the quality is there, if it fits her lifestyle. But really, we find that the focus is around experience. And that's what we're really leaning into, because that's the part that we're the most excited about with 21 Seeds, right? It's that experience, those shared moments with other moms or friends, or family, whatever it is, the gatherings. And we want 21 Seeds to be squarely in those moments. When you think about, you know, you're planning your girls trip, or you're planning your backyard barbecue, you're thinking about gathering and having a good time, the first thing that we want to pop into your head is, I have to have 21 Seeds at this event. And it works for her because it's easy. Like, she doesn't have to be the bartender at her event, right? You put out 3 bottles of 21 Seeds, you put out a bunch of club sodas, some fresh garnishes, and you're done. You let people make their drinks. So we check the box for convenience. We check the box for her being able to join that experience, which is so important to millennials in general, right? Like, we're all about experiences. We'll pay more for experiences, and we'll pay more for the products that we think we need to make those experiences more memorable, right? So we kind of fit into that psychology really well. But we're convenient, we're easy, it's beautiful. You know, she wants to make it special. She wants to take those moments and savor them. And that is the difference. It's a beautiful bottle. It looks good on the bar. It's easy to use. It tastes delicious. They're easy at home cocktails, right? Like, I think with millennials, it's like, we love to look at, you know, really intricate and sort of advanced, say, sort of cocktail books or cookbooks. But at the end of the day, you know, we really go to our go-tos. So it's like, we love beautiful. If you can give them beautiful done easy, then it's a win-win. And that's what we're all about. It's like, make it convenient, make it fun, you know, make us the one thing that she can't do without in those gatherings. And what we try to do then with whoever we're working with, whether it's our ads, our influencers, whatever, we want to portray that, constantly driving that home.
Yep. No, that's awesome. And I could definitely say millennials definitely love convenience and having a nice experience too, right? So I guess last sort of question for me around you know, loyalty. How do you create loyalty with your audience for your brand?
So we have a couple of things. One, we have an ambassador program, and if you go to 21seeds.com, you can sign up for our program, and you can you can sign up for our newsletter. And in that newsletter, so we have a pretty big newsletter now, and again, it's mostly women, so the marketing's working. We're definitely hitting who we want to be hitting, and in that we share those sort of lifestyle and experiences that we're talking about. Like, hey, it's Valentine's Day. Here's a perfect cocktail. We'll give them an easy at-home cocktail solution for Valentine's Day, and put into it additional content of like, this is how you might want to, you know, celebrate or whatever. Like, so we give those sort of suggestions. So we're constantly, you know, communicating with her on a weekly basis through our newsletter, and that's continuing to grow. We love to reward our customers with great giveaways. We find other brands that, you know, are like brands, things that we covet and would love to have. And we go out there very specifically looking for brands that we think, you know, pair nicely with 21 Seeds to create that type of an experience. And then we want to bring all those products together and give them away to our loyal customers and followers. So we're always sort of looking on how can we enhance and really bring to life that experience and give it to them, you know, in some form. Obviously, before COVID, we were able to do events, things like where we would partner up with brands that we love and we know she loves. Like, we did all of Veronica Beard's store openings, right? That's a brand we know our girl loves. We went out there, we found, you know, spoke to the team and said, hey, let us bring this in, and then allowed our followers to go and attend that event. So things like that, like always trying to bring to life, whether we can do it in real life or through, you know, email content or online content, somehow bring the lifestyle of 21 Seeds and plop it into the laps of our customers. And so we're just constantly in communication with them. And the other thing is, and I say this because most spirits brands, right, we're the supplier. Our first customer is actually our distributor. That is who we actually sell our product to. Now that distributor could not be more different than our ultimate customer, which is our girl, right? Our millennial mom. The majority of the folks in the distribution world are men. That's just the way it is. It's a very male dominated industry. So you think like, this is my customer, it's this man, but who I'm actually selling the product to, once the distributor sells it to the retailer sells it to my customer, my ultimate drinker, this person over here and that story, can get switched, diluted, who knows, right? It's like game of telephone. So, but this is my ultimate customer way over here. These two people couldn't be more different. So most suppliers, right, they'll sell it to the distributor and then they're not as involved in the customer service piece. They're not interacting as much because most brands, again, that's not where they're driving their awareness, getting the awareness from. So they're not online with their customer, communicating more like a direct-to-consumer brand. But we made such a conscious effort to be more like a direct-to-consumer brand. So we are in constant communication with them. And it is really important to our team, the founder team, that we act like a Nordstrom in terms of customer service. Like if we get an email on something, somebody can't find 21 Seeds somewhere in their state, I want that answered immediately. I want that girl to know that she is being heard, someone is listening to her, and someone is addressing her needs. Because again, if I'm thinking about that millennial mom, she's got a million things on her to-do list. And we don't want to be the thing that's holding her back from being able to check that one question off her to-do list. So I am all about, even though we are not a direct-to-consumer brand, trying to mimic one, as a traditional spirits company, I think is a very different approach.
And I guess, so I lied. I have another question actually. So talking about direct-to-consumer brands, direct-to-consumer has, done fairly well as a result of COVID. I guess, how has COVID affected your business?
Yeah. So I'm sure you've all read the stats that like alcohol consumption is through the roof, right? Because when you don't have anything else to do, you have nowhere to go. Right. Suddenly making cocktails at home is the big occasion, right? And actually it's been awesome because I've been able to do a bunch of at home, like I do a lot of Instagram lives. I make cocktail videos for Tastemade that we're pushing out all the time, because what we found is, again, if you can't spend the money in a restaurant, you want to sort of elevate the experience you're having at home. And with 21 Seeds, you're able to do that, make it special without a ton of work, right? Because at the end of the day, it goes back to that cookbook or that cocktail recipe that you see in the book, much more complicated at the end, doesn't pay off. With this, we're able to use 2 ingredients, 3 ingredients at most, and you put a bunch of creativity and flair and your personality on it through garnishes. I love garnishes and glassware. Things like that make that experience elevated without a lot of hard work. And you get to use all that wedding china, that you've got. So, or those great birthday gifts that you received over the years. So, for us, it has been a tremendous, opportunity in that, we were already online communicating with our customer. Our customers are already used to seeing us online and find us. The spirits industry scrambled to get online when COVID hit. So we kind of had a head start there. So we just continued to communicate with her, through the outer premise, connect with her, direct her on where she could buy. Shipping became much more prevalent, within the spirits industry, which it was not the case before. So we were able to take advantage of that. So we had a massive growth, during COVID. The other thing that happened was, forget about the functional reasons why people are switching from wine, to tequila. People got bored of drinking wine. Initially, when the COVID hit, everybody sort of stocked up on the things they knew, the brands that they knew. And then they got tired of drinking those things. So they wanted to explore and find, something new. And we were able to benefit from that as well.
That's great. That's great. And in the last few minutes here, just opening up to some questions from the audience. So one question is just, what's been your favorite marketing campaign that you've worked on or that you guys have executed? So Katie Couric loves 21 Seeds. She is a huge authentic fan of the brand.
and we've done a number of things with her. And some of those have been just so much fun. So she found the brand in 2019, that summer. New York Magazine interviewed her and asked her, what was the big breakout discovery from the Hamptons that summer? And she talked about 21 Seeds, and she's like, they're going to be the next Casamigos. So that was really exciting. Then she reached to us, she wrote an article about us. Then she put us in her first ever holiday gift guide in 2019. And it was incredible. And then most recently, she just had us this year in her Mother's Day gift guide. And working with her and her team is so much fun because Katie is so fun. She makes a video for like every item in her gift guide. So she does these fun little videos that are just like so unexpected from a celebrity, because we all know celebrities, most of them don't do anything unless they're getting paid to do it. So for her to just do it, you see the authentic love she has for the brands. Those have been the most fun. And now we've worked with her team. We're actually gearing up to do a giveaway with Katie and her team for Memorial Day weekend too. So love, love, love working with her. That was amazing. And then I have to say the other like pinch me moment for me was when we made the O list. So we made, for Oprah magazine, we made the O list. And I mean, I grew up watching Oprah. Like I've watched every episode, that she's ever shot. So to make the O list, and the tagline there, the quote from the magazine was, "It's delicious. You're welcome, America." That was like, wow, we made it. So those two are sort of cool, two marketing moments that were awesome.
Congratulations on that. That's awesome. And I guess with the celebrity partnerships, how has that influenced sort of your way of looking at marketing now and influencer marketing? And I have to ask about influencer marketing given my background, but
that's right.
But how's that sort of changed your perspective, or yeah, just influenced it, modified it in any way?
Yeah, so it's been interesting for us. The thing about I think any brand, especially brands for women, right, is celebrity women are the same in many ways as non-celebrity women, right? Like when they find a brand that they authentically love, they also want to share it with their friends. So we've had quite a number of celebrities from, Naomi Watts to Molly Sims. Jessica Alba is a huge fan of the brand, Katie, all of these folks are out there, they've posted about us, in their own Instagram feeds and whatnot. And it's great. It's great when a big, huge influencer, I think, recognizes your brand. It almost gives you instant credibility. But the thing that I'm learning about influencer marketing is that there's got to be more to it than just that. Like that's great for really broad top of funnel awareness. And again, credibility, like these people, are in some ways authentically endorsing the brand, right? So that's great. But in terms of really moving the needle and driving sales, what I'm learning about influencer marketing, and Eric, you and I have talked about this because you run a great influencer marketing agency, and we're talking about this very specifically, is it's a lot more complicated than that, right? Like there's got to be real calls to action. You really have to think about like the size of the influencer with what you're trying to get done. There's just so many intricacies to it that, I'm not an authority on, and where I think there's real value in working with an agency. So we're starting to now explore that ourselves, because up to this point, we've not used any influencers, in a real sort of paid, meaningful way.
Awesome.
Hi, Ariel. She's
Hello. Thank you so much for such a great session.
It's great to be here. I loved it.
Eric, do you have any parting questions as we transition?
No, I think, Kat, it's been a pleasure, and I would say the opportunity to tell people